am Bruce Garrick. I'm here with Tom Chick. We've just participated in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and we're just, we thought we'd come back to L.A., continue driving our car, but we want to kind of relax, so we thought we'd look out over the mountains.
There's a lot of them here. Yeah, these are nice mountains. Very picturesque. I'm trying to find us a nice place to sort of hang out.
Yeah, I mean, we're tired after all our French rally driving.
What is Le Mans French for?
The mans.
I'm actually asking because doesn't it mean the hands?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't. I mean,
So.
Oh, so there's a race called the Hands.
Yeah, of course.
What? That's a terrible name for a race.
No, because that's what you used to drive, isn't it?
Ah, okay. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, see how it works? Yeah.
That's like calling track the feet.
Yeah, it could be.
Or
see,
bowling
that's
the fingers. Yeah.
Well, that's all part of language, Tom Chick. Language is something that has evolved, and we need to preserve it.
Words. Oh, yeah. Words are so complicated, but I love them.
I know. Well, I mean, we can always write them down, right?
And you know what? That's how books were invented. Yeah. We don't have books anymore, though.
They don't? What happened to them?
Well, they're sort of phased. Oh my gosh, this is way too dramatic a jump, Garrick.
Whoa.
We might. We might have to hoof it for. Nope, we're okay. We're fine. Nope, we're fine.
Wow. Yeah.
I've just discovered this stream. I don't think anyone has ever discovered it. I am naming it Chick Stream.
Okay.
So you know.
Type that in. Just like you're in that space game that everybody hates.
No Man's Sky, and this is now No Man's Land. Yeah, I think I've damaged our Jeep terribly. We're gonna have to get out and walk.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So there really still are books, but I just can't do. You actually were kind enough to gift me an audiobook at one point.
Uh-huh.
I confess I haven't listened to it.
Really?
Furthermore,
tell me how you feel about audiobooks.
I think audiobooks are for people who have like long commutes.
Yes.
And my commute consists of walking down the hall from my bedroom
to
your
your
office.
kitchen, right?
Yeah, to the kitchen and the office. And plus, I so like physical pages.
Yeah.
Even Kindle books. I don't want Kindle stuff or Amazon Fires or whatever those things are.
Oh, I agree with you. Now, it's a shame that we seem to agree on this because we're going to have a lot of agreement on. I can't stand. I mean, there's some times where you have to have digital books. But
here, let's just hang out here. By the way, let's look at that. Let's look at the downtown.
Where's
LA
downtown?
Escape. Yeah,
what's that?
Right
What's that big building in front of us?
That is the Nakatomi Plaza.
Oh, okay. What happens there?
Bruce Willis fights terrorists.
Does the guy, Mr. Kawasaki or whatever, who
Go on. Yep, I'm waiting
Chaz
to hear.
Palminteri and Kevin Spacey and Benicio del Toro and all those guys?
Man, I'm not sure. Is that a Usual Suspects reference?
Yeah.
How did you go from Die Hard to Usual Suspects?
Because they're both in the same building, aren't they?
No. Die Hard isn't even... I mean, Usual Suspects technically isn't even in the real world because Bryan Singer mentioned this in the director's commentary. There is one pop culture reference in the Usual Suspects that roots it in the real world that Bryan Singer has expressed regret about including. And that's where Stephen Baldwin says something about the Hulk. Bryan Singer in the director's commentary is like, I wish I didn't put that pop culture reference in there. So I don't know where Usual Suspects takes place, but Die Hard is in Nakatomi Plaza. That's not what's actually down there. I tell you what is down there, though, Garrick, amongst all those buildings. The Central Public Library of Los Angeles. Okay. It's a beautiful building. I've been there. But more importantly, I have a little library down the street from me. I've had a book there on hold for almost 2 weeks because every time I go down there, they have either closed early because there's weird hours because it's a government building, or they haven't opened in time. I was down there at the library 9 a.m. on a Tuesday thinking, of course the library's going to be open then. Nope, Tuesdays they don't open till noon. So that's the price. I don't know. It's cutbacks. The Republicans are Republican cutbacks.
That's probably is.
So that's the extra mile I'm willing to go for physical books. I could get this book right now and from the library on Amazon Fire Kindle or whatever if I wanted to, but I'm holding out pain in the ass that it is, for a physical copy of it.
But now, Tom Chick, when you go to your little like Kindle library and you look at your shelf and you see all the covers, doesn't that just seem like it's so great? Just like it would be just like walking by the bookshelf, wouldn't it?
So it's weird that I'm okay doing that with like iTunes, with like my music. Like I'm okay letting go of first albums, then cassettes, and now even compact discs. I'm okay looking at iTunes and seeing all those because I need something electronic to listen to music. That's a necessary component of that type of entertainment.
Right.
It's not of books. Like, it's still weird to me. I love my bookshelf, and I'm sure you're the same way. You have books. Your house is lousy with books. Your wife is so kind to allow all of your weird Hitler books to be sitting out in your dining room. If some people might come over and think, oh, this Garrett guy is weird. He's got like a Hitler obsession. Because your place is lousy with books. Not many people have Hitler books in their dining room.
It's history for you.
And I like that's when that's physically there. I don't want to see it.
Right.
Do you actually have a Kindle, by the way? Do you know? Like, it sounds like you're speaking from experience. Like, you know what it's like to look at your virtual bookshelf.
Well, I have Kindle on my iPad, and I also there's also the iBooks on the iPad, which actually is where I take all my rule book PDFs.
PDFs, yes, exactly. iBooks might as well be called iManuals or iRules books. Yeah,
right, exactly, yeah. But I mean, there's some books that I have on Kindle. Some I've bought that are, I mean, I don't generally buy books on Kindle, but sometimes there are cheap books that I really don't care about. There's some paperbacks that are much cheaper on Kindle that I'm not going to put on my shelf. They're just some things I need for research. Somebody's got some U.S. military manual. You can buy it for $1.99, and it has some information about some operation or something I wanted to read about, and I grab it. But for the most part, I really, really don't. I like the fact that I have my Rick Atkinson trilogy on actual paper, and I can go to the shelf. That's the thing that really draws me to physical books, is that those physical books that I've had, I've had for years. Like I remember there was a book. A Cynthia Ozick book called, The Messiah of Stockholm, I think. This is completely true. I had this Bruno Schulz obsession at one point. And I was reading a lot of Bruno Schulz, and they had done Street of Crocodiles as like a claymation kind of thing. This Czech guy had done it.
They were brothers, actually, wasn't it? A couple of brothers.
Oh, could we have a couple of? Yeah, it's so long ago, but
not the Wozniak brothers, but it was something. Yeah, I loved Street of Crocodiles. So that's from a Bruno Mars novel, you're saying?
Yeah, Bruno Mars, Jamie Foxx, Jamie Farr, all those people. Yeah.
But what is Street of Crocodiles? Because I just know it as that animation. What it actually is it?
So it's a story by Bruno Schulz, who's a short story writer. Who's a Polish short story writer, who was murdered by the Nazis. He grew up in a town that was Polish at the time. Now is part of Ukraine, but he's a fantastic short story writer. And I was actually reading him in college as part of a Polish. I was reading him in Polish, actually. And I used to haunt when I went to the University of Chicago, and the University of Chicago has just is so freaking overrun with sort of literary type bookstores. And there was a store on 57th Street Books. And I walked in there, and I used to troll it. It was on my way home from class pretty much every day. I walked down there, so I would walk in there. I'd pick up my copy of the National Review, and there was a display by for new books, and there was a hardcover by Cynthia Ozick, who you may or may not know is a American author who's just sort of very prolific. She's one of the old style American intellectual authors, but she had written this thin volume called The Messiah of Stockholm. The thing about Bruno Schulz is that there is this sort of legend about him that he had written his masterpiece, and the manuscript had been lost. He was killed by the Nazis, and the manuscript was never found. And so the book, spoilers for anybody who wants to buy Messiah of Stockholm, is that this guy in Cynthia Ozick's novel claims to be like the son of Bruno Schultz, and he has the manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't tell you any more about that because I think actually it's a book worth reading, and I actually might end up going and grabbing it off my shelf and rereading it, because that book, I remember the connection that I had with the book, and that got me reading Cynthia Ozick. But every time I go to the bookshelf and I see Messiah of Stockholm sitting there, I can connect to everything. I can pick up the book, and it's very important to me that the same book that I picked up now is the same book I took off a bookshelf at 57th Street Books, and I think I probably even have the receipt in there because I tend to leave the receipts in books, and a receipt from 1987, right? And I think these are the pages that I turned, and these are the words that I read at this time of my life that was very important to me, and I can connect with that physical object in a way that there's no way I can connect with an ebook.
And you also have it like on display by having it on a shelf. It's like hanging up a poster, a piece of artwork in a way. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And somebody might come by and say, "Oh, what's this?" And I'd say, "Oh," and I can tell them a story, just like I told you a story. And that kind of thing is very important. I have a copy of collected T.S. Eliot that I used to pull out. I don't do it that much anymore. I've read it so many times, but I would just, if I wanted to read The Wasteland, I would just pull it out and just sit down and read it. And that's a book that I've had since I was maybe in 11th grade, right? And those words are the same words, and my understanding of T.S. Eliot, I think, is different now. I hope it's different now than it was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, but the same book is the one that I'm reading, and that it's very important to me. I mean, I'm sort of I'm a very big fan of history in general, but I think that the things that we do and that sort of our experiences, the fact that they happened is very important. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I have sort of this anchor that brings me back to those experiences is what I really appreciate about my bookshelf.
I want to tell you about the oldest book that I have.
Go.
I don't know. It would have been, I guess, 1982. But in high school, I had an English teacher named Mrs. Greenway. I had a huge crush on Mrs. Greenway. She was so different from my other teachers. I remember. So I grew up going to school in Arkansas, and there were some terrible teachers there. So I so vividly remember the ones who cared, and the ones who were good, and the ones who were passionate about their job. Miss Greenway would like act out like Lady Macbeth scenes, and we'd be reading Macbeth. I mean, she was just like cool, nerdy Arkansas woman who was really into literature and stuff. So I had such a crush on her, and one day, and I don't know why this happened, she gave me a copy of a big old fat thick book, and she wrote something, an inscription on the inside cover. Now, it's just a crappy paperback. It is falling apart. When I went to pick it out of my shelf for this podcast, I almost ripped the paperback cover off, which is now hanging here by a thread, so I'm going to have to tape this. But here's what she wrote on the inside of this book, and see if you can then guess what the book is. Ready?
Okay.
She wrote, oh, no, it was 1984. She was my senior English teacher. Wow, 12th of April, 1984. Tom. Okay. Know that I'm behind you and support you as Dagny tells Hank, I've always seen you as you are now. That greatness of which you're just beginning to allow yourself to know. I've always known it, and I've watched your struggle to discover it, end quote. And she finishes, I hope you enjoy reading this book as much as I did, Miss Greenway. So, can you guess from the names what that book is? It's probably a little obscure. Dagny telling Hank something.
Familiar. Dagny tells Hank. Let me just... Dagny tells Hank.
And it's a big, thick book. It's huge. I can look now. It is 1,081. Whoa, 1,081 pages of Ayn Rand. Yep.
I don't remember which one it is, though.
It's Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged. Okay. All right. Yes, that's been a long time since I read that one. Interesting.
So first of all, it's a terrible thing to do to an 18-year-old kid is give him a copy of Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah. Right. Well, you were probably already listening to Rush, right?
Yeah, I was never into Rush. I didn't do Rush.
I
was into the Doors at that point.
Okay. Well, Rush gave me my introduction to Ayn Rand. So anyway.
Rush is Ayn. Oh, good.
They're super Ayn Rand. Oh, you should listen to some of the lyrics.
No, I'm not going to listen. Lyrics. Now I like them even less. I like them even less.
Dude. Yeah, you're just anti-Canadian is what you are.
Ayn Rand is Canadian?
No.
Oh, Russia's Canadian. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the oldest book I have. Paperback falling apart, and I will never get rid of this. I will never read it again, by the way. I'm done with that phase of my life. I firmly denounce utilitarianism. But on the back, I noticed this, Garrick, when I pulled it out. It says on the back, if, after reading Atlas Shrugged, you find, as most readers do, that you want to reread it many times, a hardbound edition is available for $12.95 from Random House. And then there's a mailing address. like people back in 1984 would put a check in the mail and just write a little letter. Please send me a hardbound copy of Atlas Shrugged. It's just so endearing that that's on the back of the book.
Yeah. Because that's you want to read it over and over again.
I know, yeah. And I would do that for some books, not for Atlas Shrugged.
Why not?
I have like, I think at least two copies of Moby Dick. One a big old thick hardbound one. It's just like, you could fend off a band of robbers with it. It's like that hefty.
Okay.
But no, I don't want. Can you? Geez, a hardbound copy of Atlas Shrugged, 1,081 pages. I don't even know that I could lift that, Garrick. I'm not in that good a shape.
Got to work out more.
Yeah, but it's that whole idea of physical books, and it matters who gave it to me. It also is like books are amazing gifts too. Like there's that weird sense of. It depends on who they're from, though. Like you've given me some books that I haven't really liked, and that's okay. If someone who I really trust, whose taste I respect, gives me a book and I don't like it, that's fine because it kind of says something about them as well. But that people that give me books, that's great. But I also know that when I give someone a book, they might have a sense of obligation about reading it, so I'm kind of careful there as well.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Well, I hate being given books too by people I don't really know because they don't know that I really.
You never know what's coming, right?
And you never know if they'll expect you to actually read it and want to talk about it, or
But the thing I like about getting books from people that I really know well is that I feel like the books that I get tell me something about the person that is giving it to me, and that's a way of getting to know them better than I already do, right? I mean, because there's at some point you feel you know someone and you have interactions with them, and it's kind of like being in the adventure game, right? Where you've clicked on all the doors and all the crates and all the whatever, right? And the puzzle might not have an obvious solution, and then you get a book and you're like, oh wow, I wonder what this book says about the person that I know, that I thought I knew a lot about. So
it's even more intimate, I would say, than like sharing a song, for instance, because songs can be quick and disposable, but a book that's an investment, and there's a lot of sort of reading that much really gets inside your head in a different way than like a song.
Right.
I once gave a girlfriend a copy of, because we've been talking about books and stuff, and I gave her a copy of Flannery O'Connor's short stories. I thought,
oh my gosh,
because she wasn't like into literature, and which is fine, but I was like, okay, here's stuff that I really like, that I think is accessible, and it's really cool, and here, and I even marked a couple of the short stories in there and wrote something on the inside of it, and I was dismayed a few weeks later to find it under a pile of like fashion magazines. Oh my God. I know, and that relationship didn't last very long, but I just remember that feeling when I just spied it unread and just unmoved, and it just stayed there forever. That was so sad.
Yeah, that's funny. That was to mention. I love Flannery O'Connor, but there was I remember I was working at a job, and one of my coworkers was going. She was going to the. There was a Crown Books on the corner that was across from the building where we worked, and she said she was going to go get some short stories because she would really like short stories. And I said, "Oh, really? You like short stories? So have you? What do you think of Flannery O'Connor?" She's like, "Oh, I haven't read any of this." I said, "Well, then you've never read a short story. You need to go buy collected Flannery O'Connor, and you can read that, and then you can get other short stories."
Do you miss? Because nowadays, and when we send links or when we talk about articles, before we recorded, we were talking about a New York Times article. Do you miss? I'm so accustomed now to seeing those on the internet. Like, I'm not sure that I miss reading magazines and newspapers the way I would. Like, I'm still. I've let go of those in a way, but I certainly have some nostalgia for like a New York Times subscription. I used to get that, and I vividly remember finally thinking, this stuff is online. I'm just going to cancel it. But I have become okay with reading like articles and news and like what used to be magazine articles, reading all that stuff online.
Yeah.
You haven't let go of that, though. You're still into magazines.
Well, to some extent. Well, no. It depends on the magazine. And this is all. I mean, I think that I've been able. So the magazines I used to subscribe to: National Review, Weekly Standard,
Hot Rod.
Yeah, of course. But that, I mean, that's more of a reference work for me. Uh, Utney Reader and Mother Jones.
Wow, I'm proud of you,
No,
Garrick.
no, I don't. Never
Oh,
subscribe to those.
come on! I honestly believed you, in the sense that it's sometimes good to read opposite
Right.
opinions. I know
It's
I believed you when you said you got Mother
yeah.
Jones.
No, that's not gonna happen.
All
But I did read
Well,
New
I know. By
Republic.
the way, I now know what I'm getting you for Christmas. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. And I did read the New Republic, but Atlantic, New Yorker. But there's one thing that I will never give up, which is my print subscription to the New York Review of Books. And that's very, I mean, that's very liberal, I gotta say. I mean, they have nothing good to say about anyone that has any sort of right of center tendencies. But I love the idea, and this is the thing that I always thought about, about, and this kind of informed my take on game writing early on, was that the way that the New York Review of Books reviews books is not that they get, well, I mean, they do get people to review books, but instead of having some academic review a whole bunch of books about something, they'll get somebody like Henry Kissinger to write an essay about foreign policy and then incorporate his opinion of these various books about foreign policy, right? And that, to me, felt like the ultimate sort of expression of reviewing, where you could write about a subject and then bring in your opinion of what these other things gave to it.
Right.
And you can only do that if you have some, like, for example, Ian Baruma writes great, and Masha Gessen, anytime she's writing about Russia, people who really, really, really know what they're talking about. And to me, that was a way of collecting all these people who have, they talk about the internet bringing the death of expertise. I don't necessarily agree with it, but there's this group of people that I feel have all this experience and all this unique insight to share. And they all come together in the New York Review of Books. And I have now, that's sort of my parents always ask, what can we get you for Christmas? Like, I don't get me anything. But if you want to do something for me for Christmas, just renew my NYR subscription. So they do that. But and the thing about it is, the reason that I brought that up is they're all sitting under on that part of your coffee table that has the second shelf, like under where your feet go, and they're just all lying there. And I'll pull them out, and if I need to know something about, like, maybe there'll be an article about Vietnam. And I'll like, oh yeah, that was that thing, and I'll pull it out, and then I'll fold it over, and then I'll carry it around and read it. And that's an experience that I used to have, where I would get the New York Review in the mail, and I would take it to a coffee shop or someplace where I could sit outside, and I would just read it cover to cover. But that experience of holding this document that has material from people who have experience and expertise that I could never have, and all having it in my hand, that's meaningful to me in some way that is not translatable to, it's in my bookmarks on the internet.
Well, there's even another layer there, Garrick, in that they're writing about the thing that you want the physical copy of. Like this whole discussion about we want physical copies of our books,
right?
And you want a physical copy of something that's writing about those physical copies. Yeah, I completely understand how it kicks up a level there. Absolutely. Yeah. Garrick, it's getting dark. Should we head in?
Yeah, I mean, or do you think that is somebody going to try to cross the border here?
No, I will. Garrick, quit bringing immigration into this. Why would you do that?
Because I feel like some coyotes might be out here.
No, but you know what might be up? Well, there will be coyotes, but what I'm actually worried about,
what?
Mountain lions.
Oh, do they have those here?
They do, I think. Bears, too. Every now and then somebody, like a hiker, gets attacked by some poor little hapless brown bear. Bites a hiker. Yeah.
You know what mountain lions are?
What?
Cats.
I thought you were going to like roll out the string of synonyms for mountain lions, like cougar,
Oh
panther.
no,
Okay, right.
no! I thought I thought you were going to have me roll out a synonym for cat, since that's been in the it's been in the news so much lately.
Garrick, quit bringing up Trump.
Oh my
I will
God.
go there. I will go there like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I'll bet you will.
All right. Well, we better. So mountain lions are the least of our problem now. We better get off this mountain before we get into.
But the funny
discussion
thing is,
about
we
it.
have guns, don't we? Aren't we safe because we have guns?
Oh, good point. Yeah, here we go. All right, I'll protect you, Garrick, with my pink assault rifle. This
All
will
right, good.
fend off
Okay.
any mountain lions. So follow me. We should be safe.
You lead the way.
All right.
Oh, just makes you want to play Crusader Kings, doesn't it?
Ew.